This is Comic Con 2014, New York City. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. I've got something very special right here. 30 years of WrestleMania. I remember watching WrestleMania 3 from the Pontiac Silverdome being simulcast to where I was at Madison Square Garden, watching my hero Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant. Let me tell you something, brother. Brian Shields is here. He is the author of this book. Brian, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Michael, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You are like the ultimate wrestling fan, knowledge base, everything. I mean, you've written the WWE Encyclopedia. Nobody knows more than you. We've had a friendship for a long time. This book is unbelievable.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, speaking with you. And 30 years of WrestleMania, to be here at Comic Con, we are a few blocks away from where WrestleMania began. It was a Sunday afternoon experiment, one-time experiment in 1985.
That was some experiment. I mean, it cost a lot of money to put that on, especially for, it wasn't a fledgling organization, but it hadn't grown into what it is today, not even near that. It was very much still in its infancy.
You're absolutely right. The WWE at that time was a national organization. But what Vince McMahon wanted to do was to create an annual event, a Super Bowl or Oscars, if you will, for the WWE.
So did this WrestleMania idea come directly to him? Did he come up with it, or were there people that were involved, and how did it come about?
It's a great story, and it's actually, we talk about that in the book. He had this idea while on a vacation, one of the few vacations he's ever taken. And he came back and booked the Garden for a Sunday afternoon in March. The event didn't have a name, they didn't have a card, they didn't know what they were going to do, and they just worked backwards from there. The McMahons put up everything they had. They put everything on the line.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
To get the event off the ground. And actually, the first quote in the book is from Linda McMahon, and she says, "We hocked everything we owned for WrestleMania," and it's true.
You know, I've met Vince. We used to get our hair cut at the same place when I had hair. See Gianni Federa, and is there a guy who has a deeper voice than Vince McMahon? I mean, he's like, I mean, I can't even do it. He's got the deepest voice ever.
He is a larger-than-life individual.
Yeah.
On camera and away from the camera.
It's some vision he had, not only for WrestleMania, but for what he would turn the WWE into.
Yes, and it's interesting because we get into that level of detail in 30 years of WrestleMania, Mike.
Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
You know, I'm a kid of the 80s, so I always go back to the Hulkster.
Love the Hulkster. I used to try and rip off the yellow tank. I had it.
I still
was a Hulkamania.
Yeah,
Hulkamaniac.
I still try, and that was a very special time.
Yeah.
Because WWE was really cementing itself as a national organization, and WrestleMania was cementing itself as an annual spectacular.
All right, so we got WrestleMania 1 at Madison Square Garden. How do we get it to Pontiac Silverdome for WrestleMania 3, and then we simulcast it back to Madison Square Garden? Unbelievable.
WrestleMania 3, many feel to this day, is the most memorable and largest WrestleMania ever. It held the indoor attendance record up until a few years ago. Over 93,000 people flooded to the Pontiac Silverdome to see Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
And Hulk body slams Andre, wins the match. It is one of the most epic moments in sports history, really.
Absolutely.
And Hulk hurt himself really bad doing that, didn't he?
He did. He injured himself body slamming Andre.
Well, Hulk's one of the few people that I have never met that I've always wanted to meet. I do a lot of interviews and all this stuff. I've never met Hulk. What's he like as a guy?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. He's great to work with. He's very creative. Speaking to him, asking him questions about his career, you can tell how much these moments have meant to him throughout his career.
I loved his show. I loved watching him on and his comeback and stuff too when he'd show up. I'm going to flip through some of these pages. Tell me your favorite WrestleMania moment. Look at this. It's signed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you have to take care of the host.
I love it. Thank you.
I do think back to WrestleMania 3, Hogan, Andre. There are so many moments, so many WrestleManias that stand out over these last 30 years that I'm even worse than usual at picking just one.
Well, give me one.
I think the story this year that was told with Daniel Bryan, it started at SummerSlam, his rise to WrestleMania 30, defying the odds and becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, is one of the greatest moments in WWE history.
You know what's interesting as I flip through this is Vince McMahon is not only the owner, the CEO, but he is also really a showman. I mean, this guy is one of the biggest showmen in the world. He gets involved in it. He gets in the action. His family has gotten involved in it, Stephanie and his son. And it's really unbelievable how they've, gotten really involved. And, I remember guys like Roddy Piper and the Junkyard Dog and Jake the Snake. And here's like this battle royale. I remember the battle royale. What WrestleMania was that?
That was
like
WrestleMania
5?
2.
2.
That was the NFL players versus WWE superstars.
Unreal. I mean, you could never make that happen today.
No, and the other thing, Michael, we talk about those early days. If the first WrestleMania was not a success, I don't know if we would know the WWE as we do today.
Well, I think you're right, and I think it was the first 3 or 4 that really paved the way, because that had to solidify it. If WrestleMania 1 was a success and WrestleMania 2 wasn't or 3 wasn't, it wouldn't be where it is today. It would have fallen off, as so many things do. I'm just amazed at how much goes on, how much history. The Ultimate Warrior. I hated the Ultimate Warrior. With a passion.
Really?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
I hated the face paint. I thought he was arrogant, and he beat up on Hulk.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was tag team partner for a while. He beat up on Hulk. I liked Hulk. Hulk was my guy. So.
Well, a lot of people felt that way going into WrestleMania 6, that Ultimate Challenge. And that was a unique thing at that time, the good guy versus good guy in a main event for the WWE title. And that was another historic event. That was the first WrestleMania outside of the US at a sold-out Toronto Skydome.
Wow, at the Skydome.
Yeah, over
I've been there. That's a huge building.
A huge venue.
Yeah. So what about, who's your favorite wrestler who's been in the main event at WrestleMania? Macho Man, The Rock, John Cena. I mean, the list goes on and on forever. Who's your favorite guy, you think?
There's something about when that glass breaks and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out from behind the curtain. He is, many feel, the greatest WWE superstar that ever lived.
So there is that little back and forth between, is it Hulk or is it Austin? I mean, I have so much affinity for Hulk. To me, it's Hulk.
And I do too, and that's why there's always that great debate, because if the greatness of the 80s did not take place, there wouldn't have been anything to top.
Right.
So you always go back and forth on that.
30 years of WrestleMania. 30 years.
Amazing.
How has it changed? How's WrestleMania changed?
WrestleMania has changed over the 30 years, Michael, because it started out as a one-day event.
Yeah.
It has evolved over time, and for many years, it has been a global destination event where now today, there's a week of festivities.
It's like the Super Bowl, truly like the Super Bowl.
It is like the Super Bowl from a domestic standpoint. I actually feel globally it's bigger than the Super Bowl.
Really?
Because people from all over the world travel to that host city, and it's a huge success all over the world as an event. And in 30 years of WrestleMania, when you turn the pages, you see that progression. Because we celebrate the matches, so you'll have the match results for every match that ever took place, but you also get behind the scenes perspectives of what was going on for every WrestleMania.
That's unreal. Last year it was at the Meadowlands, at MetLife Stadium, right on the heels of the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
And this year it will be at Madison Square Garden?
WrestleMania 31 in 2015 will be at Levi's Stadium in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, at the brand new stadium where the 49ers are playing.
Yeah, this year was at Mercedes Superdome in New Orleans. You had over 75,000 fans flood that beautiful building.
Wow. We've been to the Superdome. It's pretty interesting.
And New Orleans is a great city.
What's your favorite venue?
I'm biased. I have to say Madison Square Garden.
The best ever.
There's nothing like WWE at Madison Square Garden.
But it's a small venue.
Well, and that's to touch again on your question before. That is how WrestleMania has grown. Really, the last almost 10 years now, it has been exclusively in stadiums since WrestleMania 23.
That's unbelievable.
So it's really grown to where now the smaller venues actually hold their Hall of Fame, which happens the night before WrestleMania, and that's also celebrated in the book.
This book is available now.
Wherever books are sold.
30 years of WrestleMania. It tells all sorts of stories. Tell me a story you compiled throughout this talking to the guys.
Well, I loved hearing from Hulk Hogan about how no one was really sure if Andre the Giant was going to follow this idea completely and actually allow Hulk to defeat him in the ring.
So tell me about it. I mean, I would imagine, look, Andre was a good guy, became a bad guy.
Yes.
Okay, he became a heel.
Yes.
And then Hulk is now the champion.
Yes.
And he's got to defend it against Andre.
Well, there's a great story, and I don't want to give too much away because it's in the book, but Vince McMahon flew to England while Andre was filming Princess Bride.
Okay.
And spoke to him about doing this one last major storyline idea before Andre retired.
Okay.
And it involved Andre becoming a bad guy, turning on Hulk Hogan, and then this build-up, this incredible build-up.
Because they were a tag team for a while, right?
They were a tag team, they were best friends. So to the fans, this was a major happening.
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember this. I remember being crushed by this, and but just wanting Hulk to win.
And the other thing also about that,
and I remember thinking there was no way he could win while I was watching it. I remember
a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah, I really bought into that.
And that's why, and Hulk gets into detail in the book about how he and Andre at one point didn't get along, and how he didn't really know if this was going to happen. The other thing, quickly, Michael, I want to bring up something a little bit more present day, is the real life tension that was going on between The Rock and John Cena.
I want to get into that in a minute.
Yeah,
but so there was, I mean, look, there's a script to follow in wrestling. It's going to happen like this, it's going to happen like this. But that doesn't mean the guys have to follow that script because they're their own men. They get into the ring and they can do whatever they want realistically. They're supposed to follow the script contractually and everything. Right. Doesn't mean they're going to.
Exactly.
So there was really a nervousness that Andre's going to go off script and either not let Hulk body slam him or literally not let him win?
There was, because he was 7'4", over 500 pounds.
Right.
So at that point, he could really do whatever he wanted to anyone. So, and Vince McMahon puts it perfectly. Hulk knew what Andre could be capable of, what he could do. Vince McMahon knew, because of their relationship, what he was going to do. And that's also part of a time-honored tradition in the sports entertainment industry of what they call doing the honors.
Right.
And that's the performance, putting on an amazing performance, and then really allowing that your opponent to defeat you.
And so Hulk, he does it. I mean, he went along with it. When Hulk hurt himself, it wasn't because Andre was fighting it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so now we move a little bit more present time, The Rock and Cena, and what goes on with them?
Well, there was a lot of friction between them over the years because John Cena was basically saying in interviews that he was disappointed that The Rock did not come back to WWE intermittently over the years. The Rock took issue with that, and they actually had 2 back-to-back main events at WrestleMania. One was at WrestleMania 28 in Miami, and then the other was last year at MetLife Stadium. So the tension between the 2 of them backstage and away from the ring was actually very real.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So a lot of really good stories in here. It's 30 years of WrestleMania. I've got a big surprise for everybody watching.
It's your show, literally.
We are going to be raffling off one of these books, 30 Years of WrestleMania, on Sunday here at Comic Con New York to a lucky fan in attendance we're going to raffle one of these off. You have to be here. Brian is going to come back to make sure that they get a signed copy of the book.
Yes.
And I think, if I'm correct, we're doing one more for the viewers. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we're going to do one more for the viewers, and we're going to announce a Twitter contest tomorrow that the viewers can join, that will, or some kind of social media contest where we can give away two of the, one to the viewers and one to somebody here in attendance.
Yep, to an attendee.
And you will sign both copies, one to the viewers and one to an attendee.
And I'll sign them right here in the booth.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. I appreciate that. That is an honor and a gift. 30 years of WrestleMania. And I know the thing is interesting that I know that some people come out of WrestleMania, they kind of lose interest, and they always find their way back. That's what I find is interesting, and there's always this love for it. It's never, you leave because life gets busy. You never leave because, I don't like it anymore.
Exactly, and one of the great things also about WWE for its fans is that there is no off season. They have 52 weeks a year of live programming. So if you do get a little busy and you miss some episodes, it's always easy to come right back.
And the new network.
WWE Network, Michael, is awesome, and I have to tell you...
Very reasonable, too.
Very reasonable, but I have to tell you it was a huge help to me in researching for the book.
I bet.
So
Hey, if they ever need a ring announcer, if they're ever like, hey, we're short a ring announcer, this is either a wrestling match, which would actually be amazing, or a heavyweight title fight. I would love to be a ring. I mean, this is I just want to do it once. I think I got the pipes to do it.
I have a meeting next week in Stamford. I'm mentioning it.
Really?
Yes.
I'm seriously?
Your viewers are witnesses.
I love it. We've got all these people watching. That's terrific, because I think they'd like to see me do it too.
I would too.
I'll put the tuxedo on, the whole deal.
Oh, let's do it.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
It's got to be at the Garden, though.
I would love nothing more. All right, Brian Shields, it is 30 years of WrestleMania, and it is available now. It's through DK Publishers. Get it at your bookstore, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, of course, Amazon, and all the other places you buy books. It's an amazing, amazing book. I was flipping through it. I can't wait to read it, and this will be on my desk. Thank you so much, Brian Shields.
Thank
Good
you.
friend. We'll see you on Sunday.
See you.
Enjoy Comic-Con.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back with a whole lot more live here on our continuing coverage, BeTerrific.com, GeekBeat.tv, Planet 5D, and we're doing it with the Padcaster here at Comic-Con, New York. I'm Michael Artsis. Keep it locked here. We'll be back right after this.